In the last part, we will talk about the ugly, where we talk specifically about individual things that could make or break your decision. So make sure to watch till the end. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the reality of moving to the UK as an international, specifically as an Asian, perhaps from Singapore or Hong Kong. Personally, I talk about this from the point of view of a Singaporean who has moved there and worked there for 2 years after studying on Zoom University over there. Nonetheless, it seems that Gen Z is looking to move abroad these days, so hopefully this video is of value to you. So for today's video, we will be splitting this into 3 main segments. The good, those are the pros. As for the bad parts, that is going to be stuff that you might not like so much. And finally, the ugly, which is going to be individual aspects that may make or break your experience, as I just mentioned in the intro. So first of all, let's start off on a positive note with the good. First, in the UK, and specifically if you live in London with 5,000 different airports, just kidding, there are only 5, you are on Europe's doorstep. As much as this channel has been about things like making money or economizing everything imaginable, there is actually more to life. Honestly, some guys just need to go out and touch grass, so if you're going to travel to do that, London is the place to go. Now, London connects to almost every European destination that you can think of, with more low-cost carriers than you can shake a stick at. So if you're looking to go on a travel era, or you're on a career sabbatical, or even a working holiday, that is an excellent choice for you. The next pro is going to be the career prospects. This is no knock against Singapore, and indeed things are changing fast with companies decentralizing their operations to various locations around the globe. But traditionally, by nature of the fact that most Western companies have a headquarters in London, or rather used to before Brexit, it was until recently the case that many roles were only available in cities like London or New York. For example, if you are looking at certain segments of investment banking and structured finance, and in my case I looked at debt syndication and project finance, analyst level roles are much more widely available in London by an order of magnitude. This allows you to get a stint in and then pivot back to Singapore or another country of your choice at a later stage by leveraging your existing experience. By comparison, it is often the case, from what I've heard, that roles in places like Singapore tended to be more limited until more recently. This meant that competition was very strong for a small number of roles, with many applicants boasting similar credentials from the local universities. So that is also going to be one you want to consider if you are looking to enter industries like finance or law, among other things. Third on the list, we have nightlife. So if you are into nightlife, then London is the place for you. Well, there could be better nightlife elsewhere in Europe, but nevertheless, if you're coming from Singapore, then the fact that things run for 24 hours means that people are generally willing to stay out later, which could lead to arguably easier social life and nightlife as far as quantity is concerned. Moving down the list, we cannot forget about the fact that there is really cheap alcohol, and on top of that, there is cheap meat, cheap protein for those of you who are looking to hit the gym. So for people on either extreme of the health spectrum, this place is a good one for you. As with anything, London and the UK does come with its downsides, and that is one thing that is often overlooked by people looking to move there ASAP. And the first is going to be none other than the high and rising crime rate. Don't get me wrong, most of the time the city is perfectly safe. However, if you live in certain areas, petty crime or public disorder are par the course. So make sure you manage your expectations on that before you actually make the move. Next, there's the comparatively poor infrastructure. Now, this is coming from any major city in Asia. That includes Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai, you name it. London's infrastructure is pretty dismal. Fiber penetration is pretty poor, so you're gonna pretty slow internet by default. Trains are constantly getting disrupted due to strikes or technical faults, and the newest Elizabeth line has only just managed to get 4G underground apparently. So that is one thing you would also need to manage your expectations about if you are looking to make the move. Finally, if you are moving to key cities like London, then they tend to be very transitory. This is completely a different story if you're looking to live in a country where people tend to settle down. However, for the purposes of this video, and assuming you are a professional who is looking to build a career in a megacity like London, then I've often compared London to an airport lounge. People are just always coming and going, just waiting to get onto their connecting flight. So basically, there is no permanence. If you are looking for permanence and community, then you might want to look towards countryside areas or somewhere more suburban in the UK if you have your heart set on the country. Finally, we move on to the ugly, where we have to acknowledge the fact that your experience will be colored immensely by who you are. This is made worse by the identity politics that is going on. Whichever side you are on, I am sure that you have heard a lot about woke culture, cancel culture, or things like DEI, so I need not say more about them before I get cancelled myself. Nonetheless, I can only share my personal experiences. So as an Asian male, for example, we are considered so-called model minorities. Lots of us are in banks, lots of us are in tech, so we're not diverse enough to have an entire support system in place from a corporate perspective. And as a minority in any country, you will be lonely unless you're able to go out and actively seek out a social group of your own, ideally outside of the workplace. Finding a social group could take a while though, so chances are you're going to need to try out multiple meetups before you finally start hitting your stride. On the other hand, if you are looking to date while you're in the UK, you might have heard a trope about Asian men being at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to dating apps in the West. There are tons of videos covering this, so unless there's demand for it, I'll leave it at that. The bottom line is that that may be something you need to manage your expectations about. However, if you're an Asian woman watching this, that obviously doesn't apply to you. So what is the conclusion overall? If you are a high income earner and looking at it purely from an economic returns perspective, you might be put off the relatively low standards of living you are getting in return for those taxes, and add to that, depending on who you are, you may get very little value for what you are bringing to the table. Now, it may not be very good value for money from this perspective. However, for someone who's just starting out in their career, this may be a justified cost of doing business. I would recommend it to people who are looking to kickstart their career as a short-term option with a clear exit plan. However, this is more a function of the benefits of going overseas as opposed to the UK itself, unless you are going into specific verticals in the capital city, London. Going back to the first point though, it is a good starting point to explore other countries, for example, the German-speaking world, and I've also heard good things about Poland being one of the up-and-coming economies in Europe. So all of these may have been options you overlooked and could consider while you are spending your time in the UK. All in all, I hope you found this video useful and informative in helping you make a decision if you've been considering making a move overseas and specifically to the UK. Now, if you haven't checked out a previous video on why I chose to leave the UK after 2 years of being there at a well-paid banking job, then you're going to want to check out this video over here. With all that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.